Have a bright mind, but unsure where to shine? Look no further. ANHSCA is here to guide your path to success. Connect with exciting events. Discover new opportunities and network with the pros. Unlock your full potential with ANHSCA, where your success story begins. Visit www.anhsca.com and let us be your compass on a journey towards success. Embrace the possibilities and let your brilliance shine with the ANHSCA. Have a bright mind, but unsure where to shine? Look no further. ANHSCA is here to guide your path to success. Connect with exciting events. Discover new opportunities and network with the pros. Unlock your full potential with ANHSCA, where your success story begins. Visit www.anhsca.com and let us be your compass on a journey towards success. Embrace the possibilities and let your brilliance shine with the ANHSCA. Have a bright mind, but unsure where to shine? Look no further. ANHSCA is here to guide your path to success. Connect with exciting events. Discover new opportunities and network with the pros. Unlock your full potential with ANHSCA, where your success story begins. Visit www.anhsca.com and let us be your compass on a journey towards success. Embrace the possibilities and let your brilliance shine with the ANHSCA. Have a bright mind, but unsure where to shine? Look no further. ANHSCA is here to guide your path to success. Connect with exciting events. Discover new opportunities and network with the pros. Unlock your full potential with ANHSCA, where your success story begins. Visit www.anhsca.com and let us be your compass on a journey towards success. Embrace the possibilities and let your brilliance shine with the ANHSCA. Have a bright mind, but unsure where to shine? Look no further. ANHSCA is here to guide your path to success. Connect with exciting events. Discover new opportunities and network with the pros. Unlock your full potential with ANHSCA, where your success story begins. Visit www.anhsca.com and let us be your compass on a journey towards success. Embrace the possibilities and let your brilliance shine with the ANHSCA.
Good day, everybody, and welcome to our 2025 ANHSCA Education Symposium, the future of America in education. And I want to thank all my folks here today, and those folks are watching us online through all social media. And so I have several guests with me today. I have at least 5. We have one that's going to join us here shortly by the name of Jeremy Watson here. Should be on any moment there. So take a look out for him popping in here in any moment here. And so I have some very special guests with me today that's going to be a part of this. I'm going to put my glasses on momentarily so that I can see, just so I can see all these beautiful faces that are online with us today. And so for the audience, I'm going to welcome my guest. My first guest here is Damari Robinson. Thank you so much for joining us, Damaris. Dr. Annette T.P., outstanding. And Dr. Dina Samuels, thank you so much. And Miss Mary Powers, all of these folks here are here to join us today on the Education Symposium. And you may see me look down from time to time with different screens that I have here. So if you see me looking around, it's okay. I'll take my glasses off back and forth just so that it doesn't blur you guys as well. And so today we are talking about education in America in every aspect that you can think of in education. So I want to make sure that you guys know that none of these folks has been given any pre-heads up about the questions that I'm going to um, give them or talk about. Um, but what I'm going to do first, why don't we do this? I'm going to give each one of our um, panelists a few minutes to tell a little bit about themselves, their background, and a little bit about education, and then I'm going to go on to the next person. So they don't know who I'm going to call on first, so they're looking around like, oh my. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to start with Miss Mary Powers. Uh, and Mary, can you introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your, just a little bit about yourself, your background, and anything about education that you want us to know. And while we're doing that, the rest of the folks are going to put our mics on mute so that we can just listen to Mary. Thank you.
Well, good day to everyone, wherever you are. My name is Mary Powers. I'm based in the DC area. I'm the founder and CEO of Magent. I have a consulting firm focused on coaching a lot of professional service providers and also helping some individuals maximize their own potential. I'm working with ANHSCA, with Al and Dr. Annette TP on the programming at ANHSCA. I'm particularly in charge of the financial literacy and the soon-to-be personal development courses. Those are my focus areas because, unfortunately, those are areas that are not focus areas of our current school system. I'm a parent of two boys. For background, one is in middle school, another one's in fourth grade. And I do notice some of these things that I'm sure we'll talk about. And I would love to just contribute to the next generation to have some of these practical skills in their belt. So that's it.
Right. Thank you so much, Mary. Great information. I really appreciate you, and absolutely you are a great help to us here at ANHSCA. Just want to acknowledge that Mr. Jeremy Watson did just pop in on us as well. Thank you, Jeremy, for joining us. With that being said, let's go to Dr. Annette TP, and let's hear a little bit about yourself, Doctor, and we will stay on mute while you have an opportunity to share a little bit about yourself.
Hello. I am a biochemist by education, so I've started off by doing research in academia and industry, and I transitioned into teaching biology, both at the high school and the college level. So a lot of opportunity to see students of different ages as they transition into different stages of their lives. Currently, I am the mentor for the Forensics Club here at ANHSCA, and I'm also putting together an aspiring writers club. So it's so important that our students have educational skills and abilities to get their ideas across. It's a great opportunity for them to grow.
Thank you very much, Dr. TP. Really appreciate you, and absolutely an excellent job with the Forensic Club as well as the Writers Club. If you guys get a chance to see some of the things that Dr. TP has done with the Writers Club as well, man, jump online. You can check out some of the old pictures and things that she just did in Memphis, Tennessee area regarding that. So thank you so much. And by the way, I forgot to mention with Mary Powers, we did an Octatank. You guys heard of the Shark Tank, where people do business propositions for businesses, and Shark Tank folks listen to them. Well, we have our own Octatank, and we do it for young people. And we had quite a few nice companies that joined us, including Chick-fil-A last year in that regard. So we're looking forward to that again. And we'll talk more about those events that are coming up. But hey, without further ado, let's go to Demarius Robinson. Demarius, can you tell a little bit about yourself, man?
Hello. I'm Demarius Robinson. I suppose I'm the founder of the Holistic Teacher, but I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have 3 kids, so they're 5, 2, and 1. And my whole focus, I really want parents to feel empowered to teach their child at home, or to just feel empowered to take charge of their child's education. I see that the education system is up and down right now, and I really want to ensure or uplift the youth to know that they have the ability to develop to their highest potential. And I believe that's it. I'm from Texas. We're based in Texas, and yeah, that's me.
right. Thank you so much, Lamar. It's great information about yourself. Absolutely. And she can tell a little bit more about, she's being very modest. She's a very educated person, folks. And I know a little bit about her background. She's actually formally educated, not only here in the States, but overseas in England as well. So she's being very modest. She's an extremely highly educated person like the rest of these folks on here. All right, without further ado, let's go on to Deanna Samuels. Deanna Samuels, tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. Samuels.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. So I taught at the University of Colorado in Colorado Springs for 20 years. And I was teaching in social justice studies. And I often, when I got my PhD, I specifically, even though I'm a sociologist, I got my PhD specifically in educational leadership research and policy, because I feel like teachers and classrooms are the way that change happens. You know, I didn't see teachers in general don't have that background. There's no requirement for teachers to have any kind of DEI, diversity, you know, or inclusion education or coursework or anything like that. And that really motivated me to be like, okay, how can I offer that opportunity in my classrooms to be able to get folks to understand what it means to be a good teacher. And when I say a good teacher, I mean an inclusive teacher. Yeah. Now I'm consulting. I consult now for organizations, campuses, districts, and stuff like that around leadership development. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Samuels. What a great information. Colorado is such a beautiful state. I was out in Colorado Springs and Eureka, Colorado as well. It's very, very pretty there. Actually, I was stationed in the Air Force at Larry Air Force Base right there in Denver. So pretty, man. The Mile House City. And just a great part of the country. So extremely fortunate to be out there. And thank you so much for your information. All right, last but not least here, we have Mr. Jeremy Watson. Mr. Jeremy Watson, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, sir?
Yeah. Hey, guys, I'm Jeremy Watson. I'm the founder of the Watson Agency, and we provide digital marketing services for some of the world's most ambitious businesses and brands. We're really passionate about providing a solution that's comprehensive, it's collaborative, but it also impacts the greater good. So, you know, very happy to be here on the panel, and I appreciate the platform, Al.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So everyone else had a chance to talk about themselves a little bit. So I'm going to say a little bit about me. I'm Al Hite, the founder and CEO, NEEO and CEO of ANHSCA, American National High School Championship Association. I could go into all the things that what we're about and make it really long, but basically we want to recognize our students. We have a lot of top students here in this country, but they're not recognized. And the educational system is changing so fast and rapidly. You guys see it in front of us, even with the current administration that we have in place right now, getting rid of the educational department at the federal level and passing it down to the state level. And so we're going to get off into a lot of that, talk about it. I got into this business of ANHSCA because I just saw that there was a need. Actually, I was a pretty good speaker. I go around and speaking places. At this one particular high school I was speaking at, talking to kids, I had an opportunity to sit in after I gave my speech. I went into a couple of the classes. And one of the classes that I went in to observe, just to see how this educational system was going, I noticed that there was a couple of folks, young ladies, in fact, from the Gulf area. They were from Iraq, in fact, and it was during the Gulf War period of time. And they were dressed in a traditional wear. And we had our regular American students in class, and we had quite a bit of diversity in the classroom setting. But the kids were very disrupted. It was, I hate to say it, but it wasn't a very nice scene in the classroom. I was appalled, actually. And I noticed these other two young ladies, though, that was from overseas. They were sitting astute and they wanted to learn so much because in their country, they didn't have the opportunity to learn. And our American students, take it for granted that this is what we have, and they were just clowning and acting out. And I said, boy, somebody should do something about that. What are they doing? These kids are just in class and they're just wasting time. And I was extremely disappointed. And I said, boy, I kept saying they. And on my way home that day, I was kind of just thinking about the activities that had happened and occurred in front of me that day. And it convicted me. I said, I can't keep waiting for they to do something. What am I going to do? So I decided that day in 2008 to come up with this company called ANHSCA, the American National High School Championship Association, to actually make a difference. And so at ANHSCA, you actually do make a difference. And that's why we're doing what we're doing right now. It compelled me to do something and not just sit back and be an observer. Many a times, there's probably people out here watching us right now in the social media world, LinkedIn, all of the YouTube area, Facebook that's watching us right now, many people all over the world. We're always looking for they to do something. When are they going to do something? Well, make a difference. If you can come up with something that can be a small difference, make a difference. I'm going to say something else that's maybe quite confounding to some folks, maybe not so much for others, is that if you have just a little light, you can make a difference. And you say, well, I'll give you an example. In the sunshine, there's so many people and you see all the light here. But if you take that little light of yours and you're in a really dark place, you can see a lot. And so make a small difference, just what you do. All right, enough of my pontificating, and let's get on with this education symposium, which you guys are really waiting on. So my first question, and this goes for the whole panelists, I'll call someone out first. That person will answer, then the rest of the panel can jump in, and we'll take a few minutes to go through that. All right. So the first question is posed to Jeremy Watson. Like I said, none of these folks know, guys, so they're just a shock. Jeremy, how would you say the education system is in the United States?
I would say from my own experience, kind of venturing through the education system, going through the education system, there are pros and cons. I'd say some of the pros are that it is accessible to everybody. Some of the cons may be that there are some areas of improvement in our education, specifically as it pertains to schools and poverty areas. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, so just speaking to my own experience, I know that, growing up, there were times where, we would have to share books or there weren't enough books. So there are all these different kind of social economic issues that face the schooling system. So I think it's a work in progress, but there are definitely pros and cons.
All right, panel, you can jump in now. Anybody else have anything to say in regards to what Jeremy just stated?
I definitely do think there is a disparity between, so we have one school district over here and another one in a different part of the city, and that they're not equal. So like Jeremy was saying, some schools might have an abundance of materials not even provided to the teachers. The teachers aren't having to send messages out to parents saying, can you buy this? Can have a whole Amazon list of things. The school district will provide all the materials. And then there's other districts, or just maybe within that district, there's certain schools that have a lower socioeconomic status, and teachers are having to ask the parents, can you bring in extra color pencils, or make sure that we have a community bucket for everyone to use. So with that, it's a little, I would prefer it to be more equal. And yes, it's more accessible to all students to go to these public schools. They're not equal.
Great. What do you have to say about that, Dr. TP?
I agree that there's a pretty large disparity in what's available. I have some experience teaching in private schools, which is a different and in both actually, and there's a difference there as well, a difference in expectations on the part of the students and on the parents, approached differently by those two different groups, and what parents have chosen and what the students have chosen. No, I agree. There is a difference in what's being offered depending on which school district you're in and what school you're going to.
Great, thank you. All right, so we're getting in there a little bit. All right, Dr. Samuels, here's one for you. Who's responsible for educating our kids?
Well, who educates our kids, or who's responsible for educating our kids?
Who's responsible for educating our kids?
So, the school system, you got to go all the way up to the superintendent. You have to think about the systems in play that are making these decisions for each classroom. And of course, parents play a huge role as well. So we don't want to leave parents out, right? Parents and community, I would say caregivers rather than parents, caregivers, community, perhaps, if there's a spiritual or religious, entity in a child's life, that may come into play as well. So I think, it takes a village. That's what I would say. But thinking about it from a political standpoint, of the fact that we are in this country, at least for today, we get to elect our school board, all the way down. These are people that, if we are not taking action to figure out, to learn who these folks are and what kind of choices they're making, all of a sudden we're, in the classroom, and all of a sudden our kids are being taught things that we were like, what's happening here? How did that happen? And oftentimes people don't realize, well, there was an election. And that, that's one thing when we think about taking action, what we can do to sort of veer or direct what we want to see.
All right, great, Dr. Samuel. Now, Mary, who do you think is responsible for educating our children? Who's responsible?
Well, I agree, it definitely takes a village, but the parents, I think, has a lot of that responsibility, because we're the role models for our children, right? And then you have to decide as parents, what is it that you feel is important for your child? My children go to private school. I went to public school growing up, and partially private school when I was in the Philippines, but it was too expensive when we moved here. So I didn't go to private school here in the US. But my children go to private school, and there's, I second the disparity comments, even in private school. So in terms of the responsibility question, like I said, I think parents have a lot of that responsibility, and you get to choose which forum of education you want your child to be sitting in. I can say I have seen the audience in a public school and a private school. I can't second enough what Alice was saying earlier about students not being hungry, because there's certainly hunger and motivation in certain grade levels. And then they sort of start losing it when they go into like middle school and high school. And I often wonder what that is, what is going on there. Part of it, I think, is if we're not motivating our children to learn and be motivated and so on, just like Ms. Robertson was saying, then the child is not going to be hungry and motivated, right? If we don't push them and challenge them. And then they go to school, and then they have teachers, I hate to say it, there's some teachers that are just not that motivating. So it's a two-way street. But I think the parents or the caregivers, as Dina was saying, certainly has that role to play, because we want to. How many parents these days ask their children, "What did you actually do in school today?" Right? When my children go home and say their favorite part of school was recess, I get worried. So they would rather go to their sports, which is not what I want to hear. I'm paying for a private school here, so I mean, there's that disconnect. But I think it is the caregivers or the parents' job to draw out the children, what really interests you, and then try to put them in that environment where they will actually thrive. So I can't say that private school is the answer, because I have gone through both. And then there is that, I think that's disparity that was already commented on, that is going on there too.
All right, well, great. Thank you, Mary Powers. So I'm going to twist this. I see this one as a quite a interesting topic. So I'm going to stay there a little bit on that particular topic. And so my question is who is responsible for training our children? Okay. And so now I'm going to put that twist on that I talked about. What role does the government, our government here in the United States, play in educating our children? I'm going to start with Jeremy.
I think it's the government's job from the top to provide a country that's safe, an environment where students can learn. There's certain resources that obviously we as taxpayers are paying into that should be funneled or allocated back into the schools. So that's kind of an ambiguous question because there's so many layers to it.
And that's what the people want to hear. So I'm going to ask the tough question because people want to know, what role does the government play? So Damaris, what role do you believe if the government plays, if it plays a role at all?
It definitely plays a role. So I am not familiar a whole lot with the top ongoings of the government and how it trickles down. However, I know there's funds allocated here and there. However, baseline, they provide the books, they provide the food, they provide the school itself. Now, I
think I'm really getting you guys on this. I love it. Now, I have a large opinion on this. I can say a lot about it, but I'm going to say my opinions until the end because this is what I want to know, because this is what the people out in our country are asking and thinking. What roles does the government play? What role does the parent play? Society plays? And so the question was, again, the initial question was, who's responsible for training our children? Some say it takes a village. Some say the school all the way up to the superintendent. Some say the parent, a little bit this and that. Some say the government has a small role. Some says the government doesn't have any role. Dr. TP, what role does the government play?
You're right. It's not a small question. Definitely, I believe, there's your local government too, right? We don't have to just jump all the way to the feds. There's all those layers of government. Of course, as you've already mentioned, we need to have the structures. We need to have the infrastructure. We need to have the buildings. We need to have food and cafeteria, and we need to know the place is clean. We need to know that the air conditioner works. We've already had some of our kids have had some time off down here already because the heat wave knocked out the air conditioning. So those things need to be maintained and taken care of. I think that from the government level or from the higher government levels, I'll stick with the state, but either way, we need to have civics. We need to understand the laws. The students need to understand what our country is about, what it stands for, what they can and cannot do, what a citizen's rights are and are not, where they start and where they stop. And I think that we need to do things where people understand civility with each other. And, I remember, because I'm old enough to remember way back decades ago, there was a big fight between parents and teachers, and this was the 80s, so pretty far back. And I didn't have children yet, and I was fascinated watching this on TV. The parents said it was the teacher's job to teach their kids to be polite and to do the things they were supposed to do because they had their child more hours in the day than the parent did. So I thought, okay, like I said, I didn't have children yet. And I thought, well, sort of logical. And the parents or the teachers were like, if you send me your children and they don't know how to respect authority and respect each other, I'm going to spend all my time teaching that and none on the subjects that I'm teaching. And I think that's an important issue to discuss.
I see that you guys are still having problems with this here. So I'm going to stick in this a little bit more because I want to dig. I want to dig because the people out there really want to know. And you guys are tap dancing around it a little bit. So let's get into the real meat. In the real meat of things, let's go back to doing this thing. When I say the government, I mean state, local, and federal. Okay. So let's get that squared away. Now, I'm going to help you guys a little bit. The government does have a role in teaching our kids because we are a nation. And so if we are a nation and we are one nation, our citizens should know that, right? And what should they know about the country? They should know several things about our country, okay? And so the state and local and the federal government, because we have all of those essential governments, has a responsibility for teaching that portion of it. But the rest of the education portion is the parents' responsibility. I know people are like that. I don't want to hear that. Okay, yep. But it is. It is the parents' responsibility to make sure that the child is educated. Now, yes, is there disparities? Absolutely, there's disparities up and down the board. And the reason why we have a systematic education is because we want everyone to have an equal playing field so that they can learn the basic things. And those basic things should be how our nation runs. Because if you want to run for government, you have to know the rules, right? Who should be responsible? If we tell the parents to give that responsibility, all the parents probably doesn't agree. If you go to Arizona, they're going to definitely disagree with folks in New York on how the government runs, right? Or vice versa. And so if you have a child and you have a child that's learning history and you have a state that won't teach all of the history, but only a portion of it, and another state will teach all of it, wow, we have problems, right? So again, I'm going to dig in this thing here because now I think we're really getting down to the grits on this. And for the folks in the South, like myself and Dr. TP, we know what grits mean. All right, so Dr. Samuel, now with all of that information that I just kind of gave you there, dig in just a little bit more, and then I'm going to move on to the next question because I know you guys, you're tap dancing around this one a little bit, but that's okay. Our audience want to hear who's responsible for teaching our children. Now, although I said I wasn't going to say that, I'm doing it anyway. I do believe that the parents are ultimately responsible as well as the government. The government is only responsible in the sense of making sure that we know the rules, engagements of how to operate and live in this country. If you live in this country, you have to know certain rules. We can't always depend on the parents to say the right thing on that. But the government is responsible for that portion. The parents are responsible for those kids on how they get to school, how they learn, and everything else. Is there going to be some disparities? Yes. Now, Dr. Samuel, I just teed it up for you. Take a swing.
Yeah, I still think it's a village, right? But I'll go a little deeper and just say that, you know, we can say the parents are ultimately responsible, and I do agree that it's their children, right? The parents are caregivers. At the same time, when we think about the disparities in society, now all of a sudden it gets a little more complicated, right? It gets a little more complex because if the parent is, if the parent is working at minimum wage, for example, and may not have enough to feed their kids, now all of a sudden the kids going to school and the only food they're getting for the day is, whatever's taught, whatever's given in the cafeteria. Not like we're blurring those lines of who's really responsible, right? So here's a good example, or here's an example. What if the food at the cafeteria is junk, right? What if it's not healthy food? And then the kid either gets sick or becomes obese or something like that. Who's responsible at that point, right? So it really goes back to, yes, we'd love to, in a perfect world, the parents would be able to get their children fed and off to school and wearing warm socks and wearing warm clothes if necessary. And sometimes that's just not possible. So that's why I keep saying it takes a village, because we have to go outside the box. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, I see we still tap dancing a little bit, but that's a great answer, Dr. Samuel. I appreciate it. And yes, when we talk about education, this is why in this country we have all these different opinions. So with that being said, Damaris, quick question for you.
Mhm.
What's the vision for the United States when it comes to educating our children?
That is changing very fast and very drastically. Um, so, little background, my husband teaches at the community college. So he is seeing a lot of the newly graduated seniors, and he's seeing that they don't have the skills to really enter the workforce. So, in the future is looking like very tech oriented. A lot of the jobs that we are used to seeing, like a lot of beginner jobs like McDonald's or just like the fast food job, or what's another one? First time jobs that are very manual. Those are about to be taken by technology, by robots, and it's developing faster than we're even fully conscious of. So I think the schools right now are trying to catch up, but they're still going at a slow pace in preparing our students. I know they're going at a slow pace because there's a lot of students who are not reading where they need to be reading. So for the future, I think we're going to need a lot more. Students will need to know a lot more STEM subjects. They'll need to know how to work with AI, work with machinery, know how to maintain that machinery. For instance, Tesla is 15 minutes away. The Tesla factory is 15 minutes away from me. And a lot of the students that are in this community college, Elon is pumping out these students into his factory. So they're needing to know how to maintain these robot arms that are manufacturing the Tesla trucks, the cars. They need to know how to be on time, how to focus, and have that cognitive ability to do that, maintain that, want to do it instead of being on their phone. So that is, I don't know if I went off on a tangent, but yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for your answer. I'm going to go with Jeremy. Jeremy, the question is, what is the vision for the United States as we know right now? So when you work at a company, they have a vision and a mission statement. The question is, what is the vision for the United States when it comes to educating our kids?
Well, I think a real opportunity to Damaris's point is that it will be a lot of focus in technology and tech. I think as AI becomes more prevalent, we see it now with AI agents, right? We move from being managers of employees and managers of people to managers of technology. I don't think technology is at a place where it'll really replace people, but I think that it is at a place where technology can replace tasks. Like with AI agents, we can program it and program the model to do a certain task. Now, you as a person may be able to do 10 or 12 different things, can't do all of those things, but it can do one of those things. So I think we'll see society move more from management of other people to management of technology. I mean, we see it already in the stores, checkout at Walmart, right? We see a lot of self-checkout. We see technology kind of integrated in there, but I think there are huge opportunities even in agriculture, right? We need firefighters, we need plumbers, we need so many things as a country. So I think it really starts and kind of getting back to the grassroots and really educating kids on trades in high school. I think that'd be hugely beneficial, and preparing them, doing a better job of preparing them to enter the workforce. But yeah, those are a few opportunities that I see.
But thanks, Jeremy. I'm going to go to Mary on this again. Hear me closely. What is the vision for the United States as far as our educational system?
There is no vision. What are you talking about? I can tell you what it should be.
Well, give
That's
us what
my
you think
answer.
it should be. That is the question. The question is
We
when
are
you work for a
seriously.
company, the company has a vision and a mission statement. So I've asked a couple questions now about what is the vision.
There isn't
And
one.
so we are a part of the citizens of the United States. What is our vision?
If you were to ask as of right now, there isn't one. So that's my own personal view, because everybody's in a different tangent on what that should be. However, if we're talking about future leaders of this country, we are the number one, at least, so far, we are the number one nation in the world. And we are not going to sustain that if we are not producing leaders. I hate to say it, but we don't have a lot of people, even adults, they would rather be managers instead of leaders. Like, leaders help to groom people, right? And just touching on a lot of things that were already mentioned. We need basic skills, math, reading, language arts, right? We need those basic skills. There are going to be specialties. Everyone's got different interests in terms of vocations and interest, and that will all be available. But at the end of the day, if I were to write a mission statement for the United States, it should be preparing them for leadership. Leadership with practical skills like people skills, speech, and how to speak properly, how to be able to just deal with people, because some of these practical skills are seriously missing it's everybody is sort of going toward technology. But I always joke when somebody tells me I'm asking ChatGPT on XYZ, like, this person is not going to build a relationship with you. ChatGPT is not a relationship builder. So that would be part of the vision. I would say there really is no vision right now. But from my perspective, it ought to have a lot of focus on leadership skills, which has other skills underneath that.
All right. Well, thank you, Mary. I appreciate, at least that was a direct, as always with Mary, a direct response, which is good, because the question is that what is the vision? And so each of us that live in this country, if we don't know the vision, we can't tell our kids a vision. And so you must have a vision. We live in a country, we're educating our kids. What is the vision for that education? Mary also mentioned about a mission statement. A mission statement. And you work for any major company or college or any industry, they'll have a mission statement and a vision. And the reason why is that's how you lead your people. Because without a vision or a purpose or a mission, you're just kind of floundering. So as a nation, you can see why we're in the trouble that we're in right now, because we have no dedicated vision that each one of us should know. If I've asked each one of you, that would be 5 different visions or statements, but no singular one. We're only one United States, so it should be a singular vision for our people. We are a united people, supposedly, right? Right? So our vision should have something to do with that. Our mission is she mentioned, Mary, that is, about we are number one. Are we? We're number one at what? In fact, I did a little research, and I can tell you that the United States is number 34 and climbing downward as far as education in the world. And that's being generous to call us 34. I can even tell you the top 5 states that have halfway decent education in America. And at some point or another, we'll be able to show you that. And I can also tell you the top worst states in America to live in. And if you look at those demographics, the politics, and all the things that go on in those states, it'll give you cause for pause and think. And so, again, to my social media audience out there, My panel do not know what I'm going to say here, so they're just as wide open as you are here, and so they're probably listening like, "Oh shucks, Mac," But I can tell you that, and we will show you. And I actually had an opportunity to talk to Jeremy Watson. He's a marketing guy. I actually have him pulled up the states in order, and so before we close out, I'll show you where your state is actually at. And what country do you think is number one as far as educational? I'm going to go with Dr. TP. Just take a guess. Number one as far as overall education from K through 12. I'm talking about K through 12. Not far as higher education. United States is far. I don't understand that, but we are way above everyone else when it comes to higher education. But our K through 12, we rank 34. And most of the kids from other countries, a lot of them come to our nation to get their formal higher education for the time being. But again, Dr. TP, on the spot here, I want to see, because you are a doctor and you're so wise. I got two doctors here. And so if they're doctors, that means they know everything, right? Dr. TP, what would you say is the top nation overall as far as education?
I feel like I saw it recently, but I'm trying to remember what the article said. So I'm going to say Sweden.
Pretty close. In the right vicinity. All right. How about you, Damaris? What would you say?
I was going to say Sweden as well.
Mary?
I'm going to guess China.
Dr. Samuel?
So first of all, I want to know what the number, what are you basing that on? Is that test scores?
Yes, ma'am. And so we looked at, and you'll be able to look this up online. If you guys are probably pretty smart right now, you're probably looking it up while you're talking to me and looking it up. And so, yes, these are based on test scores and overall, just the facilities, educational levels, how the kids respond, and the educational output of their nation. What would you say is the top one? And I will provide this all at the end, by the way.
My first thought actually was what Mary said, was China. And then when you said Sweden was in the vicinity, I don't know, maybe Norway or something. I'm not sure. I don't know.
So we're going to cheat here because I had Jeremy look this up with me. As a matter of fact, I had a few people look it up because I wanted to make sure that I was correct, that I wasn't the only one. And then this morning I sent them a little cheat note and say, double check these numbers because I want to make sure before I put this out there, because you know how people fact check when you do these kind of things here. They're going to be like, he said that and it wasn't right. So Jeremy, let's see if you got it right. What is the top rated country as far as education overall, K through 12?
Is it Singapore?
Oh man. So Singapore did really good as far as mathematics. They were at the top. Singapore, Japan, Taiwan, those folks. But the overall top country is Finland.
Interesting.
What are they doing there for their folks? Now, I lived in Japan for a little bit. I lived overseas for a while, and I was in the military. So I had a chance to travel to the South Pacific and in those areas there. And I remember being in Japan. This is in the 80s. Yikes. So that means that I'm age. But anyway, I can tell you this. Those kids were going to school 6 days a week, and they were studying things that was out of this world back then. We are nowhere compared to what they were doing educational-wise. So when I say that I'm surprised that we're even at 34 overall, is the United States want to start if we want to maintain is what we call the best nation in the world. And we have a lot, not to take away from us. The United States is great in many, many different things. We are truly blessed, and we have so many things to give. But somewhere down the line, we lost it. And so if we don't get back on track, very soon it's going to go even worse. So now I'm going to segue into our next system. Dr. Samuel, this one is for you. And I know you're going to love this being from Colorado. Which one of our leaders would you say that our children can look up to right now for his education? Political leaders. Very nice, Dr. Samuels. I think I stunned you.
Yeah, you did. I'm sorry to say, I don't have a response to that. I really don't.
Okay, let me move on then. Let me move on. That's great. At least
Okay.
you're honest. All right, that's good. Mary, Miss Powers.
I don't have one either.
TB. You're on mute.
I don't have one either. I value integrity, and we're missing it.
Yikes, yikes. Demarius, which one of the leaders do we have that you want our kids to follow?
There's not much. Our kids are following social media influencers. That's who they're following.
What about
They're not paying attention
political
to
leaders who are leading this country?
No, they're money hungry. I don't trust.
Wow. Oh my. All right. I can't leave Jeremy out. Jeremy, which one?
You got me there, Al.
Oh my goodness. So I stunned the whole panel, America. Right there. You just heard it. I did not advise these folks. I did not tell them. You can see it yourself. Now, Dr. Samuels, I can't leave you out of this one. Here we go. All right. So you have a little boy, and we got a top leader of the world. Would you like to follow? Would you like your son or daughter, nephew, niece to follow in our leader's footsteps?
Our current leadership? No, absolutely not.
Mary Powers.
No, not in the current, at least not in the last 20, not in the last 20 years for that matter.
How about you, Dr. TP? How about you?
Sorry, I keep clicking like Zoom on the wrong microphone sign. I am with Mary. Actually, I don't remember the last leader that I was super excited for and respected at the top of the list.
Demarius, how about you?
Basically the same. There's.
Oh wow. Okay. Listen. All right. Let's see if we go 5 for 5 again. One of these leaders do you want your children or nephews or nieces or any child to follow after?
I think leadership starts in the home, Al. I think it starts in the home.
So you rather for them to follow you than our current leadership?
I think that the example we set as parents is the most impressionable. So.
Now, some of you would say, what does that have to do with education? Because where do kids learn from? They learn from our leaders. And each of you just said, none of you would want, matter of fact, if I say that you guys have daughters, would you want them to marry a husband like our current leadership? I already know the answer. We don't have to even go there. We know the answer. Which one of you would say, what? The nation that we live in right now, you are absolutely excited and happy about, and that the rest of the world want to come to enjoy, because we offer so much education, opportunities, and everything else. Let's go with Demarius.
Can you say the question one more time?
Okay, so in a nutshell, the question is, why would people want to come to the United States for educational symposiums, education systems, or just be a part of this country? Why would they want to come here?
If their own country is not what they're needing, that's the reason they would want to come here. Now, if their country is not what they're needing and they're lacking a lot, we do have a lot to give them. But for the American children here, we have a lot to do.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to really get you guys now. Here, man, I love. We just getting into the meat of things here. Here we go, Dr. Samuel. This is one strictly for you. I know in Colorado, it is so beautiful there. And the students there just love to go to school there in Colorado. If I was to ask you, from your students that you know in Colorado, do they know the Constitution of the United States? What would be your answer?
Well, so I was at the university. So are you talking about university level?
No. Remember, we are citizens. Remember, we already said that the government is responsible, the local government, the federal government, the parents, the village. Out of that village that you were speaking of, how many of them would know the Constitution?
Very few. There are some who are who like take an interest in it and want to learn it. But I would say overall, I mean, at the university level, I would ask my students, when did women get the right to vote? They hadn't a clue, not a clue. And
when you pose, I'm interested. Oh, you got me there. So I'm intrigued by that question yourself. Okay, so I'm an old civil rights type of guy, and I taught diversity, equity, inclusion as well. And so I know a little bit about those laws there. So I'm interested when you said, when did they obtain the right to vote? Who did you ask them? When did they receive the right to vote?
Who did I ask? You mean?
Oh, look, when you said, when did we get the right to vote? When you say we, who is the we?
Oh, I said women. When did women?
Oh, women. Okay. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So it wasn't doing the suffrage movement.
It was at the end of the suffrage movement.
Yeah, and who was able to get the right to vote before the women?
White men.
And ooh, you're talking to a guy here now. Come on.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm trying to think what you're asking here.
Oh, so when did folks in America get the right to vote? Did Black people just get the right to vote in America in 1965 after the 1964 Act?
No, even if they got it, even if they've got it sooner, they were also put through the tests of, how many bubbles are there in a bar of soap, all of that.
So the Black man was actually able to vote before white women?
Yes.
Because they were men. Is that correct?
Yes. That is correct.
Oh, so when I asked you the question, who is the we? You said women got the right to vote just at the end of the suffrage movement. See, a lot of folks didn't know that. Although the folks that was minority, Black folks in this America, got a chance to vote, although they had the right on paper, they didn't really have the right to vote, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just wonder, because that Colorado knowledge of yours, I can see it just swelling up. You're so educated. That's outstanding. I know a little bit about that stuff there. And so they don't call me Al Height for no reason at all. Not because I'm tall either. Anyway, great question. All right. So listen, Mary, here's one for you. The folks overseas, when they go to school, they all are taught how to speak English and one or two other languages while they're in school. How many languages can most of the people in America speak in American schools?
I would say English is the primary one, unless they're coming here from another country and they're taught as through English as a second language with their primary language. But it's English most of the time.
English. Demarius, would you say it's the same thing in the schools? And by the way, Demarius is in Texas area. Dr. TP is in Tennessee. Jeremy is in Arizona. Dr. Samuel, are you in Colorado still?
I'm not. When I left the university, I moved to. I'm right outside of DC. I'm 15 minutes from the White House, right now.
Okay, so you two in the same area there. You and Mary are nearly in the same area. I'm in the Michigan area. So as you can see, this is important because when I ask these questions, it could be regional politics. It could be regional education. And so, Jeremy, if you have that list, I don't know, Bianca, if you have that list from Jeremy that we have on education, at some point I would like to put that up because I want to show the education states, where the states fall at in the United States. So, for instance, we have a lot of our state governments that don't want to teach the total history of different things here. and what's going on. So can a country move forward and not share our true history? And I'll pose that to Demarius.
You asked, can our country move forward without teaching the full history?
That's correct. Can we move forward without knowing our history? Can our students actually move forward without knowing history? And if they do move forward without knowing history, how would it affect them?
Yes, definitely can and have been moving forward without knowing the full history. Because I didn't learn about Black history like that in school at all. So but still move forward and still able to. But if you don't know, of course, you start repeating things, or certain issues may arise, and it might be new sounding to those who haven't learned the history, but it's nothing new under the sun. So it's you're gonna have to start dealing. Going to have to deal with that issue as if it is new, but it's not really. It's not new.
Great answer, Demarius. Because see, you said that you didn't learn about Black history. See, I went to school in the '60s, and I learned all about Black history because we were in segregated schools. So I learned a lot about it, things that the other students of today didn't know about, and they're just now getting back to because it wasn't taught. However, when you learn history, it's important that you really study. That's where the parents come in at, because if it's up to government or certain people, they're not going to teach your children everything. And many times the folks who are in charge will try to make history in their own image, so to speak, as I would say. And that's not something that's just now being done. This has been done for many, many years. So if you go back into history, you'll find that has occurred in many different places. So that doesn't just happen in the United States. That happens all over. But so listen, Dr. TP, you're on the line with me. You're saying the best versus the worst schools systems in the United States right now. Can you tell me the top 5 on there from what you see?
The top 5 best states listed here are
As far as educationalists. And we're getting this information, and you'll be able to see this information so that you'll know exactly where we got it from. For those folks who are out there on the web and social medias that are looking like, are these numbers arbitrary? They are not. This comes from our own education folks in the United States. And so we'll tell you where we are. And so, Dr. TP? Why would you think those yes, if you could address those first five, why do you think they are listed at 5? You got Massachusetts as number 1, Connecticut, New Jersey, Virginia, and New Hampshire rounding out top 5. Can you tell me why you think that those school systems in America are, this is K through 12, by the way, K through 12. Why are they listing at doing well in the United States?
I'm not sure without looking it up, but I think that they've got a tax base that sets them up to have quite a bit of money that they do dedicate towards education. So I'm thinking that in those particular states, you probably have a pretty well-funded educational system.
Okay, that's a fair answer. All right, here we go. I'm going to go back to Dr. Samuel, my great person from Colorado that actually lives outside of DC now. So she's right in the Beltway. So wow, between her and Mary Powers, these should be some great questions. The bottom 5, meaning Oregon, Arizona, Alaska, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. And why would you say that they are listed at that particular position in the United States?
Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that the top 5 best states for education are either blue or blue leaning, and opposite to the bottom 5 worst states.
Wow. Okay, you went political there. You went political. I did not do it. She did it, folks. But that's okay. We're here to really talk the facts about education. All right. So, okay, I can see where you're coming from. And so you're thinking that the bottom five, and I just heard something on the news about Oklahoma here recently regarding the education system too, and the laws and all those other good things that goes with them. So you're thinking it's a political environment.
I think that feeds into it for sure, because the money, for example, that Massachusetts gives. I grew up in Massachusetts, born in South Africa, but grew up in Massachusetts, and the amount of money that's funding public education in Massachusetts is probably higher than any state. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but yeah.
Wow, is that coincidental that also in America that's where education actually started at? Oh, so I just said a history thing there. Oh, you history buff. Go back and read how education started in America and why do we have the current system that we have in America. So that's another educational thing in itself. Okay, thank you for bringing that up there, Bianca. If you can bring the other one up with the nations, the top nations in the world. And so I say these things here is because when I talk about education, education is not just going to school. It's about the whole picture. It's the whole picture. So, Demarius, here's a perfect one for you and Jeremy. The two of you can answer this. And you can double team on it if you want. What role does the family play in education?
I would say it plays a huge role. From birth to 5, or from birth to 3, I believe. I've read that it's essential for that child to be at home and not in daycare, just so those attachments can form, and the child grows up beyond that to have a strong sense of self, a strong sense of grit, like I can do it, and just be more, have higher self-esteem. So from the beginning, huge role. And onward, huge role. If you're going to send your child out to public school, you need to make sure that child is immersed in the values that you've set, because once they go out in the world, that stuff kind of gets reset because they're among their peers and they start asking questions. And then when they come home, you just got to make sure that they are still developing in the way that you want your family to develop. So that's my answer.
All right, Jeremy, jump on there. You got it. Tell me what you got.
I think it's a huge role to Damaris's point. That was well articulated. I think that social learning theory, right? We learn new behaviors by watching and imitating others. From the time we were a child, we were taught how to walk, how to talk, how to behave, how to conduct ourselves. All that starts in the home. So I think that's probably the most important role in education is,
wow, did I just hear that? That's probably the most important role in education. Is that what I just heard from Jeremy? Well, and why would you say that, sir?
It's for just the reason I just said, right? Social learning theory. I think those are the people that we interact with most. Those are the people that we're watching, imitating, observing in our formative years. So.
Okay, man. So listen, I know we've been on here a little bit. We're going to go just a little bit longer because now you guys are really getting to the meat of the education in America. And I haven't even talked about AI. Good God. So I'm going to get on this a little bit here. This is for Mary and Dr. TP. Is it important that a child see a mom and dad, a family unit? Is that where they learn their education from? Or does it matter?
I think, kind of like Jeremy and Damaris were saying, I mean, those first formative years are where you're going to start building your character and your values. Kids that read often were read to by parents and observed parents reading. And, they're setting an example. If you say, when you come home, do your homework first before you play, then you've shown that education is important. And it starts there.
Mary?
Teachers can't fix that.
You're right. Mary?
Oh, absolutely. I think seeing your parents, seeing because they are your role models essentially, and they're expecting to learn from you. So whatever you're seeing from your parents, their values, the things that they're doing, and how they're doing things, and so on, they're going to learn from you. So it is. I think it is critical to have a mom and dad as part of the family unit, as part of the education, because that is where it starts. That you brought them to this world, so it starts with you.
All right. And so we know that everyone doesn't have mom and dad, but we understand that the family unit is important. The family unit is where they're going to get that first initial contact with how the world works, kind of speak, in that home environment. But let me ask you this. When we send our kids to school, how much time do they spend saying how the family should work and about marriage? How now? Wow, I got you guys here because your eyes were marriage. There's all kind of different things, right? Everybody have their own a vision of marriage and equality and all these other things. And so one of the greatest things about the United States is that we are so diverse, which is absolutely fantastic. That's what makes us so great. But that is the worst thing about us too, is because we are so diverse. It's our grit, because we can take everyone from all these other countries that we have and we can learn these things. But then after that, at the end of the day, someone has said to me, and you may find this true as well. I'll make this small statement. The 11 o'clock hour on Sunday is probably one of the most racial periods in the United States. Black churches go here, white churches go there, Hispanic churches there. You find some mega churches that blend together here, but everybody's in their own area. In this country, everybody go back to their own area. And you even go into some portions of our country, you'll see people flying different flags from different countries, but they're supposed to be in the United States, right? So I'm going to take you all the way back to our vision and our mission. If they're in school and you see a marriage and a marriage goes through a divorce, who does it affect? It affects that child, affects the neighborhood, it affects the church or wherever they go to, it affects the school, it affects the state, it affects that child and the new generation, right? And so how much time do we spend on showing people how to be married, how to stay together, how important it is for our country that we work together? Is that part of education? Wow. Is that the government responsibility or the parent responsibility? Are kids confused because they see mom and dad, or dad and mom and mom and dad? What's the vision? Okay, I'm posing to the question because it got real quiet there. That's all right. Good. But all this affects everything that I'm speaking about affects the education. Okay. And so, all right. So I'm going to close this down here just a minute here. I know we're just a little bit over. So hang with us, folks out there. We'll get a few minutes to this because I always promise that I'm going to talk about AI. So I'm a 60s child. I was born in the 60s. Yeah. Okay. Yep. I got a gray beard. That just means wisdom, guys. Wisdom. All right. So listen, I was born in the 60s and I seen a lot of things go on. I lived through the civil rights movement. I know what it means to vote. I know what it means to be left out. I know what it means to ride on a bus to a school that I had no understanding of the neighborhood and still tried to make it in this country. I know what it means to see that people redline you and take away from different things and put voting restrictions on you. I know exactly what it means. I know what it means to be the best qualified in the classroom or at the workplace and still not get the job or get medium on that. I know that I've actually experienced in this country, but yet and still, I'm still here. Okay. So I remember growing up and being in middle school and high schools and the teachers and the teaching at that time was, you guys probably don't remember, is data processing, these data cards. And you used to have to type everything in. Okay. And then you put the card in there and then the computer read it. So data processing. Okay. I know I'm telling on myself. And I remember the couple of instructors and teachers that I had at that time saying that, boy, those people that are working in the factory better watch out because these robots are going to take over their jobs. And you can see in America right now the factory industry is really turned down because they can use robots. But with AI now that they have, not only would they do robots, but all the white collar folks who do all these things that are with systems and processing, I would say be very careful right now because your time is coming. Just like it did in the factory days for robots to take over many of the workers' places. If you're not educated enough and know about how to live in the AI world, you're going to be left out because AI is everywhere we're going. Think about it right now, guys. I used to dial the telephone. I mean, literally dial the number like this. And I asked my grandson the other day, what is this? He like, I have no clue. Or even a typewriter. You're like, a typewriter? Well, can you read in cursive? In cursive? Do you know how to even sign your name in cursive? They have no clue. So knowledge is fast, right? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, okay? Because there's many people when the car came out, they're like, I don't want to ride a car. It's too noisy. My horse is there. But you can get to a place here in 10 minutes or take a horse and take 3 days to get there, right? Oh, wow. So it's not all bad, but being able to own the process, right? So, Damaris, here's one for you and Dr. Samuel. How's AI going to affect us in this new generation? And I'm going to start with Dr. Samuel first.
This is the question of the day, right? I get into these conversations constantly. Jeremy and I were talking about this recently too. I really think that it's the way of the future and we don't have a choice. It's already here. Honestly, I'm coming from as a faculty member, trying to figure out whether there was plagiarism involved and all that. To be honest with you, I'm grateful not to be in that place at this time in my life, and what's happening in the country, that I don't have to worry about that. But my colleagues do. Like they're like, how do you, it's no longer can you write because you don't need to know how. You need to be able to ask ChatGPT the right questions. And there you go. Yes, it's affecting us incredibly. And I don't necessarily think it's all for the good. I mean, I'm definitely not saying it's better to take a horse than a car in this day and age, but I'm very wary, specifically because of, my experience in the classroom. Yeah.
Understandably so. You know what? And I can't wait to hear Damaris. Let's see what you got to say, Damaris.
I completely agree with Dr. Samuels. I am highly concerned with how AI is being used by today's youth, because they're using it as they are using it as almost like a brain replacer. They're not thinking for themselves. They're not, the cognitive ability is, I'm afraid, it's being lost. And as humans, we're capable of so much. And AI is replacing so much. AI can think faster, learn faster than us, like it can't. So if it can do that, then why would I take a horse? Why would I learn how to do math and learn how to read and write? Why would I? Because you're going to spit out the answer really quickly. So even though AI is coming into our education systems, and I believe it'll be a great it can have the ability to be a great teacher, especially when it's needing to teach so many different students of different backgrounds, and can individualize its teaching quickly. But I would prefer students to take them out of the indoors and put them outside, because if the AI is doing so much for us, we need to keep our ability to keep our senses, know how to stay grounded, know how to be just in tune with the world around us. This is our only home, Earth, and if we're so focused on our technology, and then something were to happen because there is climate change happening, for my children, I don't want them to be caught off guard, and that is going to be happening more often. And AI can only do so much because we are feeding it what we know, and if we're only feeding it what we know, and it's also taking information from social media, who knows where we're going to go. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so AI can be a fantastic tool if you use it as a tool, and I would never say that it's more smarter than a human, because humans are the ones that making it, right? And so you
Yes.
got
So
those
on
geniuses out
that,
there. However,
can I say, sorry, can, yes, we're feeding it, but it's also learning how we think, and it's going to learn how to learn by itself. So even
and
though
so
we know what we know, it'll know more about our behaviors, about how different groups are living, and it's yeah. Mm.
well, that very understandable. However, I still say that a person put that mechanical system in place. It is a system, and you have some geniuses out there. However, I will say that if you don't use your brain, your noggin, you tend to lose those muscles up there, and you don't use it. If you don't speak that extra language that you know, you'll lose it. And so, if AI is taking over that portion for you, we'll be lost. It'll tell you what to think. You'll be like, okay, I'll do this, right? So AI is affecting our country, and we already talked about, and I think Dr. Samuels mentioned this a little earlier, is that the economic differences, and also Damaris, you did as well, about people who don't have the economic background, and maybe some of the other folks do, that they're able to adjust to these changes in our country. Okay, and others are not so much able to do that. So I would say to you guys, in the future, it won't be so much about a race thing in our country as a more to those who the have and the have nots. The ones who have the knowledge, the ones who do not have the knowledge. So, with that being said, I want to thank my panelists today. And I know that you guys are just chomping at the bits to say more. You probably didn't know that this time passed by so fast. What a great audience and a panel that you guys have. This is going to be playing over and over again, so we'll take snippets out if you want to have it for yourself that you can use. But before we close out, I'm going to give each of you a few minutes to say now, after we just had this conversation about education and the future of education in America. We talked about a bunch of things, but I'm going to give you an opportunity. Let's start with let's start with Mary first. Mary Powers.
Well, Al, first of all, thank you for having us all here at the symposium. I think it was a great discussion. I guess my last comment is that we honed in on how important it is to start educating our children properly at the early age, because that is where they are most energetic and most like a sponge, if you will, to be able to absorb all this learning that technology can easily take over, right? So if we can focus on definitely a better vision for the younger, the K through 12, to better position them for the future with those practical skills and those things that we don't really want. I mean, we want technology to be a tool, but not a replacement for the human brain and the human capabilities, right? We all have our purpose here on Earth, and I think we things can be a lot better if we do focus on some of these practicalities around education and the vision and so on.
Thank you, Mary. Jeremy Watson, sir, can you give us a last minute quote from yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Al. Last quote I would really say is that let's try to look at things as an opportunity, right? An opportunity to make us smarter, better, more efficient as a people, as a society. So my encouragement to the youth would really be look to everyone's point. Look at AI more as a tool, right? As a way to get costs down, as a way to optimize current processes, as a way to get that information quicker, to make more informed decisions, especially people who may not have been as privy or had access to information in the past, right? Use these things to your advantage, and create some leverage for yourself forward. But at the end of the day, no matter where you are in life, you have an opportunity to change your life with the right mindset and the right mentality. You change your mentality, change your reality. So I would encourage everybody to stay humble, stay hungry.
Thank you. All right, Damaris.
So again, thank you for having me. It was a great conversation. I really love talking about these topics. Now, for the youth, I would tell them to go outside. Please, just go outside. Take your shoes off, go play, be in the sun. Know that education is, it's just education. You'll get it. You might not get it right now, but you'll get it. And you can use technology to help you move forward, but don't use it to replace your ability to learn, because your mind is great. It has so much power, and the more you go outside and get in tune with the earth that we live on, you will have your creativity to do more and see things from a different angle will expand exponentially, I believe.
Thank you, Damaris. Dr. Samuels.
Thank you. And this has been really fun. Great conversation. Thank you. I would say I have a tall order for education, and that is that every student has the possibility, the opportunity to come into a school and feel psychologically, emotionally, physically safe. Because we know that without that kind of safety, people are reacting in trauma mode, and they're not able to bring their whole selves into their schools, into their projects, into their work. This is true in schools. It's also true on campuses and I would say this everywhere where there are human beings involved. We need to be really caring for ourselves and each other. And beyond that, you can't be creative. You can't be innovative. You're only going to get sick. I mean, that's the choice. And so I wish that we could focus more of our energies, our resources, and our education around self-care. Yeah, self-care. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr. Samuel. Dr. TP.
Thank you for this. I think it's been a fascinating discussion, and a lot of what I'm thinking has already been said. But I think that we need to have education in a way that is accessible, that allows our children to flourish and to explore their interests in a safe environment. I agree. We also need them to be more outside. There's whole books on nature deficit disorder. We are messing ourselves up, and we can't sleep because we've messed up our cycles because we don't get enough sunshine. And then we take medicine to sleep, medicine to wake up. It's kind of crazy. But definitely we don't want to be farming out our children's futures to AI or technology, because what makes us human is empathy and creativity, and you're not going to find it there, I don't think. So that's my concern. We want to be human first and care about each other.
Well, thank you, Dr. TP. Man, what a great panel. Damaris, Dr. TP, Jeremy Watson, Dr. Samuels, Mary Powers. What a great panel. We didn't solve the world. We may even cause more questions than answers. But I want folks to know, first and foremost, about education. You're going to get that from your parents or your surroundings, wherever you're living at. You're going to get that. Education is a lot more than going to formal schools. Okay, so we can talk about that. We can talk about how education is going to be in the future, and its colleges worth the money that we pay for it. I know I had a great giant bill that I had to pay off before I had to pay off for my college education. But was it worth it? You know, what are we looking for in the future? You know, we talk about AI. So how many AI folks are we going to have coming into the house to do plumbing work? So we need carpenters, we need plumbers, we need electricians. Those things are just as important as doctors and lawyers. And you say, why is that? Because we all need each other, right? So that's the one thing about education, is that in this country, we need each other to make it. And when you're educated, you get to know those things. So a lot of people who are making decisions for our country are not very educated right now. I hate to say it. You don't want to get rid of the Department of Education. You want to have a Department of Education that says, hey, where are we going? What is the future? I asked the question, what is the vision for the United States? So if you have a company and you don't have a vision, and for you biblical scholars, without a vision or purpose, the people perish. Are we going to perish at the United States because we have no vision or lack of knowledge, or wisdom, or understanding? Or is it that a few of those folks are holding on to that knowledge and the rest of the people are not getting it, which causes rebellion, of course? So we can get into a whole bunch of different things. So, and I didn't even touch on that. But what I want to say for us all is that education is important. I believe that education starts in the home, with seeing mom and dad in the home or your family structure. Okay? If the kids are confused about their home, they're going to be confused about everything else. So it starts off in the home. As a nation, our leaders need to get together, stop the bickering. We're only one nation, and come up with a vision and a mission, because then the people can follow that mission or vision. Even if we get it wrong, we'll get it right. But having a mission and a vision. I showed you some of the states that did really well and some of the states that did really bad. And so if you have a state and you live, well, I'll put it this way. Here's an educational background for you. In the early 1800s, 1900s, would you want your child to be trained in the South or the North? I don't think that's too much of a real question. Some folks would say, and if you look on our presidential list of best presidents and the worst presidents, if you looked at Andrew Johnson, was considered one of the worst presidents we ever had in this country. Why? All the enactments that was done over at the 1865 after slavery was released, the vice president after the president was assassinated, basically put all those things back in place and put the nation back 100 years, and we're just getting over it, and now we're going through it again. So education is important. Learning your history is important. You got to know what's going on, folks. And our people will perish for lack of knowledge and lack of understanding. So as a nation, again, I would say, come together, put a vision. We're not perfect. We make mistakes all the time. But one good thing about America is that we do have a good heart. There's many, many people here in this country that really care and love this country. I've served in our military more than 20 years, and I work for our federal government. I love our country. We are good-hearted people overall. Sometimes we get it wrong. And so if we work together, we can do a lot more than working against each other. So again, I want to thank my panelists for being a part of what we had today. You guys are wonderful. I hope you consider coming back in the future. We will take this here, and so that it will be playing. And invite your folks that you know to listen in and see their comments on it. They'll have just as many as we had, I'm sure. And so we didn't solve the nation's problem today, but we definitely put some great questions out there about where do we go from here and what is the future of American education. So let's get it right. We may get it wrong a few times, but we will get it right, and we can really do well and be that shining light on the hill again. And as you guys that know me, before we leave, I always say a couple positive words, and that is be nice, be kind, be patient, and loving and understanding with one another. We hope that we did not offend anyone on our panelists at all today with the community. What we're trying to do really is make America all the things that it says it can be, that we can actually live up to it. We are a great country. We have lost our ways in some way. And if we get back to those basics, the family, the love, the kindness, and working together, we can continue to be a great country. Otherwise, as they say, the road to destruction is easy, is wide open, but people who want to do it right is really narrow. So again, thank you for my panelists. Won't hold you guys much longer. Before I leave, though, Bianca, did we have any questions that we need to ask from the audience, one or two, or are we good? Bianca is my assistant, by the way. I want to thank her for helping us out in this platform today. Anything from you, Bianca, from any word from the outside? Okay, so I take it that is a no. I want to thank my panelists again. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you guys again in the future. Have a beautiful day. Sayonara.